Welcome everyone to Enlightened World Network. We are here with Divine Relationship Recovery today, and I have a special co-host. Her name is Monica Augustine. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you, Deb. It's so good to be with you, as always. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. It is a joy to be with you. Monica and I have done things together in the past, and there's definitely a definite energy relationship, and it feels really good. And Monica is a beautiful person. And so let me tell you a little bit about her, is that her passion is to support clients to gain clear insight, release inner blocks, and heal so they can take positive action to experience the life they desire. She gains information by asking questions, active listening, and using her empathetic, clairaudient, and clairvoyant skills. And then she uses Reiki to release and clear inner blocks, and life coaching to support positive action steps. But this is just a little bit about Monica. So Monica, why don't you just let people know some more of what you do and how you work with clients and about the beautiful music that you create?
Thanks, Deb. That was such a nice introduction.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, well, all that you said is true. I consider myself an intuitive life coach. That's a title that just feels like it resonates with me for what I offer. Intuitive life coaching, Reiki, healing, and teaching. I do a lot of this, especially right now online because of the coronavirus, but it's gone really well on Zoom. I just see all my clients on Zoom or the phone right now, and I just really feel really passionate about helping people, supporting people. I've always been that way. Even in previous work, it's been a teacher or musician. But it's all kind of very heart based for me. But yeah, I love supporting people and helping them gain insight, because I know how that feels, that feeling of just you want to do something, you want to make a difference, and you want to live a great life and help others to do that. But then I know what it feels like to feel stuck and feel like I'm just spinning my wheels. And I just know what that feels like. And I'm so eager. And then once you find the answers, you find that, oh my God, this is it. Oh, I know where I'm heading and which direction my compass is pointing, I'm navigating. It's such a great feeling because it can just feel so disempowering just to feel stuck. So I love that. I love supporting people. So I've really cultivated, and I'll continue to cultivate forever, I'm sure, because there's always room to grow. And the more I learn, Deb, the more I realize I don't know, the more it's like, oh, I thought this was supposed to feel, oh, I actually feel like I know so much less, but I consider that a positive sign. But yeah, I really cultivate my intuitive listening skills. And I also teach classes. I just started teaching online level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is strengthening your intuition, and level 2 is trusting your intuition. So we go through, they're on Zoom, and we go through exercises each week, and we also pair up sometimes and practice on one another. So I have students now, I'm just also empowering that we all have intuition. It's not just for certain people or anything like that. But yeah, I really cultivate that listening and cultivating empathy, intuitive ability, listening, and asking questions is so key. Like what you said before, Deb, just asking questions, and which questions you ask are so vital. I've learned over time, because clients will come. Oh, and I've done the same for myself. You know how we'll ask ourselves, just an example, the important things in a human life, like love and health and money, and these are important things. And people will say, why, how do I find that right person for me, or something like that. And then I've learned to answer that question and address it, but I've also learned to tune into higher, divine, which we're going to talk a lot about. Divine, or however you want to, for anyone listening, just however you want to phrase it. I like to keep it open for people. I don't know how you feel, Deb, about that, but whatever you consider God, I say divine, spirit, God, Jesus, angels. I use different terms, but I tune in and ask them, what's the question? What's actually the best question to ask to help this person? Because then I listen for that question and ask that, and it opens up just a whole new portal of information. So fascinating to me, and I have no idea how to answer why that is, but at least yet I don't know the answer to that. But I do now know to ask what is the most helpful, question to ask for this person that will actually open up information, because we can ask, why don't I have money, or why don't I have good health, or why don't I have love? But those questions are sometimes just a block. So you have to be like, what is the really helpful question here? Because it really opens up a whole new, just a whole tons of new information that's really helpful. But anyway, I do intuitive work, intuitive life coaching, and I love teaching the classes online. I love empowering others to know they can do it too, because we use the same tools we use on our clients that we use on ourselves. So, and I sing, and I just put out an EP, but an EP, it's called Captivated. There's 4 songs. I have 3 albums out on iTunes. They've been out there for years. The songs seem to mostly be about growth and spiritual connection, the emotional experiences of human life. I try to make them inspiring and supportive. It's just naturally what comes through me as a musician. But yeah, it's called Captivated. It's out all the musical platforms, and I do love writing as well and singing. So yeah, so that's me.
Thanks, Monica. I appreciate you sharing all of that. And her music is beautiful, and it just resonates with you, and your voice is beautiful, and the music that you play with it. So we were hoping that maybe you could sing today, but we're not doing that. But we will have you back again when you feel like you can sing a song, because it's just awesome.
Oh, thanks. I'd love to. I just haven't been keeping my voice in shape lately, so
yeah,
we'll wait.
We will wait till you're ready.
Yeah.
So this brings us to our subject tonight of everything Jesus. How do you relate to Jesus, or do you relate at all? And the way that my show started to morph into something a little different, I was picking topics that I was really interested in, and then discussing that topic. And then recently it was, what does God want me to talk about? Instead of just what is it that I want to talk about? What does God want to talk about? And Jesus is a amazing relationship for me and for Monica. And so it was perfect that we get to talk about Jesus today. So what I do is I break off the text that God has given me. There's usually about 4 paragraphs. And then we talk about each paragraph and have a conversation about it. And I would love for anyone that is watching to share your experience with divine love or Jesus, or I feel the same way as Monica. Whatever you call divine love is fine. There's no wrong or right. There's no good or bad. It is such an individual experience to have your own relationship with divine love. And so I happen to call that God. And my relationship, when I started to chat with God shows up to me as male, and God also shows up to me as female. But the majority of the time that I spend with God, I feel male energy. I see him as male, even though I know he's just energy. But that is how unique each person's connection is with love. It is geared for what you need for your story, for what you need to navigate your life here. So divine love shows up for you in the way that you need and feel comfortable with. So the first thing that God says is, just like myself, God, everyone relates differently to me, and it is the same for Jesus. Jesus' story is absolutely beautiful. He is my creation, just like you are. Can you see yourself the same as Jesus? Just like you're working on oneness with me, you are also one with him. So I thought, okay, that's a pretty good place to start. Gosh, so Jesus is God's creation, just like each one of us. And I know that we keep working on, as you go along your spiritual path, you understand that there's only one energy, there's only one love, there's only one, and that you're one with that divine love. But understanding that Jesus is also part of that oneness. You are one with Jesus, just like you're one with God. And that took me a while to, and I'm still integrating it as I go along. I understand what I'm being told and taught intellectually, but understanding that Jesus will tell me, I am no different than you. I am you. Just like God says, I am you. Jesus is an aspect of yourself. It is whatever you want to call that. And so whether you relate to Jesus as the Christ or Yeshua, whether you relate to Jesus as an ascended master, because these are all the different ways that people relate to Jesus. And for me, I even asked God, how am I supposed to relate to Jesus, like in this life, and how I'm experiencing it? And I was told, you relate to him as your brother, that Jesus is your brother. So everything that I've been taught is not religious, it's universal love. But that does not mean that somebody who relates to Jesus as Christ, there's nothing wrong with it, that it's perfect, because that's what that person's life is, what is for them. It's their journey, it's their life. And Jesus is all the same person, no matter what you call him. Right?
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful, Deb. I've been really asking a lot lately. That's why I'm really glad we're doing this. This is really fun. Just praying a lot. I pray a lot anyway, just naturally pray all the time. It's just like a natural part of what I do, I guess. But I've been praying a lot about just how I want to understand Jesus better, Jesus's life, and Jesus, I guess. And because I know, like what you were saying, you heard when you asked and inquired, he's your brother. Treat him like that. And other people view him as their savior.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just feel honestly like I am so still learning and just have so much to learn. So part of me was like, I don't even know if I feel qualified to be on here with you, Deb, but I do feel really passionate about God and Jesus and understanding that better. And really just, understanding Jesus's life and him as a being, as an energy, and when I inquire and I pray, I can feel it in my heart. Like I feel Jesus very much in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel just a real gentle presence and loving compassion, like that unconditional love. Like it's beautiful and it's gentle and it's completely accepting. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I feel. It's like it's just a beautiful feeling. And sometimes I hear when I ask more questions and and like I'm in the same thought process as you, Deb, I would say right now anyway, is universal love. I'm always looking for um, commonalities in religion and also spirituality, and I'm always looking for inclusivity and likeness, and you know I'm always looking for that. What makes us the same? What makes us similar? What makes religions similar? What I'm really fascinated by that because I think it's so easy, um, and understandably so, like to exclude and say, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And I just feel like, in my heart and my understanding and my relationship so far with God, Jesus and God, is, um, that just doesn't exist in their their energy. There isn't excluding and denying. And I feel like when I talk to God and Jesus, I feel like I hear them say to me, Monica, that has nothing to do with us. Like that, just that kind of focus and energy of right, wrong, good, bad,
Mhm.
that or better, worse, kind of with people or whatever, that has nothing to do with what we're about.
Mhm.
um, that being said, I feel like, again, I just want to say you know I'm a novice. I have so much to learn, but I'm inquiring and I'm passionate about it. So that's why we're here, right? And
Mhm.
I know there's right, wrong about like not killing, not, of course that's very important. Treat people as you'd like to be treated. And those are the verses I love in the Bible, like the Psalms, the Proverbs, and um, that I can naturally get with, like treat people as you'd like to be treated. Uh, Treat them as your neighbor, as yourself. I love all that. But and sometimes in the world, when I notice that religion or certain people in religion are just, it's there is like, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. That really, creates a lot of stress for me. I, I so want to find commonality and connection. And sometimes I'll come up again, not against, but come up to people where I'm looking for that. And they'll say, Monica, we need to get you on this path or, this way. And I'll be like, oh my God, I so want to connect with you, but that doesn't resonate with me. And
Mhm.
it's like, I so want it to, so that we can connect, but I
Mhm.
can't just do that to connect with somebody.
Right.
I feel like God and Jesus are just so much bigger and than any word can even say, or any book, or anything. It's almost mind-blowing, but at the
Mhm.
same time I still do try to understand. But
Mhm.
I find that I'm trying to do it more in my experience, like mysticism.
Mhm.
Deb, I did this class once with Mirabai Starr. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's a Judaism mystic. I took a class with her in 2016, and I just loved her class. It was all about the Abrahamic traditions and the commonality between like Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, or Muslim Islam. And all she does is find the commonalities. I love that about her classes. And she says mysticism is that direct encounter with divine. So Jesus, God, earth, nature, because it's all God to me. So I feel like I resonate more with like the mystic part, the
Mhm.
spirituality part of Jesus and God, and not so much the religious part. But it's not because I don't believe in that. And I do want to learn about more religions and learn about that. But I've always had trouble in my mind about it because I always felt like conflicted,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I'm inquiring now more and more, just because I feel a little wiser, I'm a little older, and I don't take the words so literally. When I was younger, I did, and I just felt completely scared. So I was like, okay, I can't do that. I'm just going to try to be a good person, try to
Mhm.
be kind, and forget about all that. But now
Right.
I'm older and I'm trying to learn more.
Mhm.
But I do feel Jesus says it's okay, Monica, you don't have to call yourself anything.
Mhm.
Don't tie yourself up and stress out about it, which I was actually honestly a couple weeks ago, just because I felt like I like a lot of certain things, but then I was like, I feel bad. I can't call myself what I part of my brain thinks I should.
Yeah.
Heart's in the right place.
Mhm.
So I just have to go with that, Deb?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it is such a journey because we've been programmed to see things in a certain way. And we learned about them in a certain way. So for me, when I first woke up and it was Jesus and I was Jewish, so I was like, who are you? I don't know who you are. But everything about him looked like Jesus. Um, and 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 from what I've learned from society of who Jesus was. And so I had such a difficult time understanding as because this is all my knowledge of Jesus was Christ. Why is Christ here? And I could say, oh, he was Jewish too, so there's this commonality or whatever. But the truth is I was allowing programming to dictate what my relationship is with this beautiful spirit. And it was funny because my inner child just kept saying to me, it's Jesus. And I was like, what? She kept saying, it's Jesus. I'm telling you, it's Jesus. And I'm like, how do you know who Jesus is, right? And it took me a couple of years, and to the point where I said, how do I describe this relationship that is the most, the love, like you said, the love and the gentleness and when God said, he's your brother, it just kind of just, whew, all right, now I have something to call what this relationship is, because it didn't fit into the context of um, Christianity. It didn't fit into the context of Yeshua. Like, yes, he's a Jewish man, but I didn't know anything about that. And so I was like awoke and not knowing really anything. And the relationship that was cultivated by this mutual love, which then of course also happens with God, which is, so now like Jesus and God are so entwined inside of me because they're one, I'm one with them, that it's hard to separate, but because it's all coming from divine love. So for me, it was also a what do I call this? What do I call him? Because this is the words that society gives me and tells me how I should think about this person, this spirit. And so having that framed for me in such a way that I can just say he's my brother, and because that's what he feels like. That's what Jesus's energy feels like to me. And teaching that there's no hierarchy, that you are one and the same, that you're looking at another aspect of yourself as Jesus. So it's such a beautiful way that really helped me put that to peace inside myself, as to how do I relate, what do I call? And it's interesting, why do we even have to call something? But I guess through language, and we want to share information, we need to have words to use. So it does not demean anybody's relationship with Jesus as Christ at all, because it's one and the same. It's just the way that you are relating to his spirit, his energy, and his teachings. So it is perfect for somebody who would relate to Jesus as Christ. And then there's lots of people in the spiritual community that relate to Jesus as an ascended master.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. And Deb, when you mentioned, like when you're talking about how what you heard and you experienced was your brother,
Mhm.
um, I think that's beautiful. And I I think I may have heard that as I inquired as well. Like it's just um, there's a sameness there. However, when you say that, there's a part of me that says, um, it feels more like ego self or whatever, but it feels like, uh, oh my gosh, I don't feel worthy to call myself on the same level like that. But
Mhm.
it's only my own inner dialogue as we
Mhm.
talk about it, and it's my mind, my heart just feels a lot smarter than my head most of the time. So it's just like, yeah, we know that we can't describe it or put it in a box or category, but you understand it, Monica. Just do that.
Mhm.
But since I want to talk about it more and be able to explain, and I think
Mhm.
that's why I'm diving in more. But when you said brother, I so resonate with what you're saying. And then for me, I'm like, wow, you know,
Mhm.
so I can understand what you're saying because there's just so much as I'm asking so much more too, Deb, about understanding him better, his
Mhm.
life, and in the Bible shares a lot about his story.
Mhm.
But then there's a part of me, meaning no disrespect, so I'm just being completely honest. Like there's a part of me that says, you know, when I read it, I have to say, how does it resonate with me? Because I really am an eager student. I want to understand and pay respects and just, all that. But I noticed that sometimes I'll be like, well, that was written so long ago. What if somebody changed it? Or what if there was something changed and I think that's some trust issues for me
Mhm.
with authority, probably just from way back when. And I grew up Catholic and I also went to a Christian high school for a little while. And um, there were some good experiences. And there were also some things that didn't line up for me. So I think I remember even in Bible class, I was like, I can't, I don't know if I can trust this. So I'm just going to learn what I need to do and go to the next class or I don't know. So I didn't mean to get off track, Deb, but when you said brother, I think part of me was like, wow, that courage that Jesus displayed and that complete faith and like that he explained in his life, like that's powerful stuff. And to think that I'm even closely related to that
Yeah.
would just blow my mind. So like I'd have to work with that and integrate as well, honestly.
Yeah. And this happens by spending as much time with him as you can, the same way you learn about God from spending time with God. And so I have spent so much time with Jesus in a short period of time when he woke me. And thinking about what you said is that because there was so much healing, because he spent so much time with me trying to help me understand what needed to be healed in me, experiences that I had that I never processed properly, and beliefs that I had about myself and the world. And so I think that I had felt saved by him. So part of me wanted to see him as a savior because I felt saved by him, but not in the same way, I guess, without all the doctrine and religion. I just felt, oh my God, this is, this person saved my life. This person changed my life. This person stripped me down with God of all of, and this is ongoing, of my faulty self, and teaching me how to love, teaching me how to view things from a divine perspective. And you're in like, oh my God, then there's this hierarchy, right? And God tells me to get off my knees, that there's equality, and that Jesus says, I am one with you. And I remember having a conversation with him, because I went through this period of time of not being happy being me. I didn't like my character, like my character I'm playing in this earth thing. And he said, but you're me. And he said, if you really looked at yourself as me, and I said, well, if I looked at myself as you, then I'd be pretty happy with myself.
True. Right.
Thinking all the things that I think about myself, if I really believe that I'm you. And this is part of the spiritual process of coming into oneness. And the more that you spend time, and I also was very interested in Jesus's life as well, and not just the Jesus life that we've all known through the Bible. I wanted to know him, and I want to know what his childhood was like, and what it was like for him to be called to minister, what it was like for him to be on the cross. So I have a book that he's given me some of that information, and he's asked me not to get tangled up into defining really who he was, because that's not my job. My job is not to define for anybody, is my relationship with him, and this is my story. So this is the way that my story unfolds within my relationship with God and Jesus. So there's the next one says, Jesus's path might look different than yours because it is couched in religion. However, his life was about the telling of his connection from returning home to me and staying in my presence, just like I'm asking you to do.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. It's so beautiful, Deb. One thing I wanted to say was, I noticed, Deb, that the client I had a client on the phone before we talked for this, and I always pray to kind of bring in the light and love and purity to every session. And I know that it's not me. I've learned now, I think it's been 6 years now I've been doing this work, and it's coming through me, and I just learned to listen and clear out, and it's really a passion of mine. I love doing it. What I keep hearing, like today, I had a client that she's got, she has some really, really important, like very big life decisions to make that are happening in her life. And when I read what she wanted to work on today, and she's a new client, I just, I prayed extra hard. There's some big decisions to be made there, and pressing ones, I'd say, for us humans, and I prayed. I always say Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Holy Fire, Reiki, Divine Love and Light. I just call in higher selves, and that's just how I do it. But I always say to my clients, like, I welcome you to say whatever works for you. And she was more connected to nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, do that. I'm not here to convince. I'm here to support you and help you. I have no need to convince anyone of anything. But when I called that in, I just I felt Jesus's presence just come right through and say, Monica, we're with you. We're guiding you. It was stronger than it's been in a long time. I think it's because I've been asking for that, but also I think it's the need that is needed for her today. But I know there's a reason I went on this talk right here, Deb. But I felt the presence in you. Let me try to go back and find what made me say that. The presence, the path, like Jesus's path, right, is different than yours, than mine. And that he was just always in alignment with God, like God's will for him is just so connected, like crystal clear, right? Mm-hmm. As far as we know. And maybe when he was younger, when he was a child, maybe he had to learn things that we don't hear about. I don't know, right? But you have inquired, so I think you have answers to that. But yeah, that constant alignment. It's like, no, I'll be like the reading today for her, I could feel it like so strong. And then after I went on a walk in the trail before you, and I just felt where this feeling was amazing. And I could feel, I was like, what is this feeling? It's like, Monica, you're not thinking about yourself. You're in alignment with us, like not in a selfish way, but worries or fears or doubts, like that kind of thing, or did I say enough? It's making about myself. It was just so beautiful because I felt really in alignment, after
Mhm.
that session. And I felt, oh my gosh, that would be amazing to just trust like that
Mhm.
more and more.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, like that's what Jesus came to do. And he was uh, just in that alignment, just that constant. So I think that's where I was meeting those conversations, Deb. Did you feel like they kind of were cohesive?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I cut this one off, and
Yeah, no, you're describing the same thing. I mean, God's saying, Jesus's life was about being in unity with him and being in an alignment and trusting. And he talked about you need to return home to look to divine love, return home to who you are, return home to your divine nature, return home to the love of your life, really. And what you find out is yourself, because there's only oneness. But and that to stay in that presence. And so that's what we're being called upon to do, is do that in our own way of being able to stay in the presence of love. We have somebody on, Kim says, what an interesting point. There's so many teachings about not living in the past and stay present in the holy instant. So it makes me wonder if focusing on the Bible and scripture is like staying in the past. Well, everybody's going to relate differently to information, and everybody's journey is different. So there's nothing wrong with the Bible. It is about how you're interpreting it. And are you interpreting it with God's help, or are you interpreting it through um, an ego filter, or what you have been taught through society? So, and I guess there is no real past. Everything's now. Everything's occurring at the same moment. So the past, whenever that was written, is still now. And yeah, I would have to say that there is so much beautiful stuff. And now I haven't really read the Bible, but I've read little parts of it as I've been called to go and look something up. And there's some beautiful wisdom in there, and then there's some other stuff that just feels so out of alignment, especially when you're having a relationship with God and Jesus, and then you start questioning, like, this isn't love. Fear isn't love. So I think that for some people, scripture speaks to them, and that's their connection of how they feel God, and that, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that each person's going to have their own individual way of connecting, and it's allowing each person to have their own connection, because it fits in with your story, with your journey of how it's supposed to unfold. And you can't look at what anybody else is doing. And being in alignment, as you know, like you're describing, it is an amazing feeling of, like, you feel it's bliss. It is knowing that you're home, that you're seated in divine love, in oneness, and that energy is just flowing through you in whichever way it does, as it comes through you. So we have another paragraph, and it's, divine truth was Jesus's ministry and what he lived by. You too have the same wisdom within you, although it might be related to, spoken, or expressed differently. Your path may not be ministry in the same way, but it is to bring heaven to earth by allowing your divine nature to shine love and light in all that you do. So we can look at, we look at ministry, and a particular way of what we think from religion, what ministry looks like. And from what I'm getting from this is that we each have our own ministry of how we bring heaven to earth. And we have our own unique gifts of how we do that. And so we might relate to the information differently. We might speak it differently. We might express it differently. And all of it is right. It's just that you're doing it your own way of shining that love and light that you are, the oneness, out to the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. Deb, I agree. I feel like ministry is, well, I used to think of it, in the past when I was younger, just like a minister or a priest or on the pulpit or, like that. But I just think every human being is a minister, like is ministering something.
Mm-hmm.
And in what we're talking about, like even our neighbors or us or our garbage man, like our garbage man's name's Robert, and he is such a nice person. He just always stops when he sees me and says hi, and just, it makes my day. Like he makes my day better. And like, that's kindness. That's a minister. That's a,
Yeah.
whether he thinks about that or not, or just kindness, a simple kindness. And I believe everybody is, ministering to each other. And it's more pleasant when we're ministering love and kindness and joy and support and acceptance. Of course, that feels a lot better than any other kind of ministry. But
right.
Yeah, Deb, is it okay if I go back just for a second on Kim's question? Just go back there. And I wanted to say, if she's still on, that I know what she means. I felt that because I'm reading the Bible more because I want to understand the story and just understand more. And I've often got trapped in the past too, is like, how do I relate to this? This is so long ago. We don't really, it's hard to relate for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then as I read it now, and I tune in and I ask, like, how do I read it now?
Mm-hmm.
Just because I really want to understand the story and Jesus's life, and also the life of the Jewish people too. I'm just very interested. And I hear, like, read the passage or whatever it is, the Psalm or proverb, and tune into your harmonic and just see, how does that apply today? Like, how does it apply to you today? And then I'm like, oh, it could apply to courage. Like, don't be afraid to just be your authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
Like, speak up for what you believe in. Be that. I can't remember which one it was now. I think I was reading Matthew or something, but it was like, I can see how sometimes I'm afraid to stand, just even acknowledge, yeah, I do that. I actually feel pretty passionate about God and Jesus. And this is something I've kept really sacred, or just, it's still sacred, but it was private for me. But then more people have been asking me to talk about it. So I'm like, tune in, like, I'm afraid. I don't want to exclude anybody, or I want to always include everyone. And it's like, nothing you could say is going to exclude anybody, because it's just but anyway, what I was going to say for Kim was, that's what I do. That helps me. The New Testament's a lot easier for me to do that with. How does this relate to me in my life? Courage. Speak up for somebody being treated unfairly. Don't be afraid to put your neck out for somebody, that, like, those kind of things, because that's going to be like present in any life, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's one thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
Just to, yeah.
That's a good thing to share. Just even the way that it's written, it's I guess at times it could be very hard to interpret what meaning is, or finding the whole expansiveness of the meaning while you're reading it. And we have Bill on with us, and he says, this is going back to find the divine is fine, but the divine is just as present today and speaks through humanity if we listen. And that is true. The divine is always there. And then the divine is in every single moment. The divine is, and it's always now. So we don't have to go back, but that for some people, that's what feels right to them. That feels right, and that's what God's saying is that you will relate, speak, and express differently from person to person, and their diversity is there purposely for each person to have their own experience and embrace it and stand in their own belief system. So I think, the purpose for us today in talking about this is spreading some more love, spreading the love that and support that is inside of you for this amazing experience that you are not alone. And we say this over and over again. God shows up in all these different forms to help us navigate and embracing, the love of Jesus and what that spirit is alive and well in every single person. And some people would call it Christ consciousness or enlightened consciousness. That's what his spirit is. So regardless of whatever way you connect with him, it is part of you. It is part of your divine nature. And the love and the healing. I just couldn't even imagine my life with not experiencing that. And knowing the constant teaching of this is you too. This is you too. Can you embrace that? Can you take that in? And so the last paragraph says, you are my perfect creation, no different than Jesus. Divine consciousness is the same, no matter who you might be looking at, including yourself. See the beauty, love, and light within yourself, just like you do when you think of Jesus. He is your role model of direct lineage to me. He is your brother in oneness, in love, peace, and unity. And, just thinking about there, you can't separate divine consciousness. It's all one. That's just an experience that we have here, that we all look different and separate ourselves. But this is what God's saying. You're all my creation, and you're only divine. Your divine consciousness is perfection. It's amazing to think how expansive you could be and have so many aspects while you're living this life, that you have all these aspects of all the divine spiritual guides that are really divine love showing up in different forms, that they're all forms of you that has come to help you.
Yeah, no, I love that. I do believe that, Deb. I experienced that. Like, the experience to me is more important than what I believe, just because the thoughts can be tricky, and but the experience of that divine is all of us and everywhere and everything. I really resonate with that. Like, I completely resonate with that. And I hear that as well when I pray in the morning before I meditate. And when I do Reiki on clients sometimes, Deb, I notice that if they're having trouble, like physically or mentally, emotionally, a lot of times what I notice is, and hear is, this has just been separated. This part of this person has somehow separated. And so let's just bring it back to wholeness. And it's like the awareness that there is no separation, right? Yeah. But to get the body or the cells that are struggling in somebody or in ourselves, right? Like, it's a separation, that doesn't need to be there, that we just created in our own minds. And I believe everything, or I experience that. It's just something that I don't struggle with at all, that everything is divine. And I don't know how I would explain, Deb, like, uh, you know, hard things that happen, or, things that are challenging or painful or hurtful in the world. And we have a lot of that right now. But no, I definitely am. I don't know how to explain that. However, there's a part of me that trusts deeply that there's a lot more going on that I'm aware of.
Mhm.
And so whenever it's just way out of, like, I have no idea, I just go to my heart, and I do really trust and have faith. And that's okay that I don't know the answers too. I
Mhm.
just kind of keep tuning in to that oneness that we're talking about.
Mhm.
And Deb, I wonder if this is along the lines, but of what we're talking about, oneness. And but my son Will had a blood clot, right? We in March. Yeah, it's way better now. He's on the road to recovery, but it was very scary. It was his whole right leg, and from being a premature baby, he has some anatomical things that in his vascular system veins, that his blood, you know, parts that we have in our bodies, he doesn't have to move the blood easier, right? So we didn't know this. He's 19. You don't expect a 19-year-old to have blood clot or, be in the hospital. So when I talked to the first doctor, he was like, Monica, Will might lose his leg. He might not be able to walk again. So that was very shocking to me. It was terrifying. So anyway, long story short, I just prayed and did Reiki on Will the whole time. And he asked me to, Mom, we prayed together. I said, oh my God, just as a mom, you want your child. I don't know what God's plan is for Will, but I'm going to do my best to pray for the best outcome that I think is possible, because I'm human. Of course, I want Will to have two legs, and I want him to, but when I was doing it after that, I said, well, I told the doctor, I said, I appreciate your expertise. I really respect you. And I just can't allow myself to think that is going to be an outcome. So I just told him that. And I said, but thank you. But, I'm got to move on to the next. So I did Reiki on him, and I prayed, and it's like, well, let's just pray together. We want Will to grow up however he believes. We don't have him think any certain way, but he even said, let's do that. Because I believe when we are more in a group, it's more powerful. And I just heard loud and clear, like clairaudiently, Deb, it felt really, to me, felt like God. Honestly, like we were talking about how Jesus and God are the same, but Jesus's voice sounds different to me, but it might just be, I don't know how I interpret, or guides that have spirit guides, or somebody else helps us higher self. It sounds different to me coming through. I know the fruits are good, so I listen, but they feel different. And this one felt more like a thunder, like, Monica, pay attention. And so it said, Monica, it's okay to say, I know this is going to work. And I told Ruth that, our common friend, I told her that. And I always thought that saying, I know this is going to work, was arrogant. I don't know, coming from me, or I just thought it was arrogant. So I was afraid to say it. And I was a little superstitious as well. But it said, no, I need you to say this and believe it. I felt like universe, however you want to say, God, universe, anyone listening, I welcome whatever you want to feel. And I'm just like that. But I heard you have to, I want to hear you say, I know this is going to work. Meaning, I think it meant our prayers. And I think that Spirit was trying to strengthen my faith. That's what my feeling was. And however you want to look at it, it worked. And it was interesting. Before I even said it out loud, Will said, Mom, I know this is going to work. But it was interesting because I think he telepathically was picking up. It was interesting. But I don't know, the faith strengthened my faith. You need to have more faith. Like, I can do anything. Like,
Yes.
even if I do respect doctors very much, and not without them, like, God works through them. So without them, we needed them, and they're skilled, and I'm so grateful. And at the same time, if I hear that voice, the thunder, like, Monica, don't let your mind sit there. Don't focus on that. Focus on what's possible. I'm going to listen to that for sure over Yeah. And again, Deb, not sure what took me there. Maybe it's turning 51. I don't know. Sorry. But I don't know why I felt like it tied in. I don't know.
It does, because it's really about being certain and sure. It's claiming, claiming that you know miracles happen, claiming that you are confident and trust in God, and like almost having unshakable trust and faith. And so that comes through you being able to claim that strength
Yeah.
for for your son.
Yeah. And
Mhm,
yeah, that's right. And that's what I think that oneness of you've separated yourself out thinking
mhm,
you can't ask for this, Monica,
mhm.
or yes, please do ask for this, or
Yeah,
uh, don't separate yourself out and, let go of your concepts about what you can ask for and what you can't. Go
mhm,
for it. And so I just did. And, you know, he's still healing, but he's doing better. But it was profound. It went from, there was this potential that would be very different reality.
yeah.
And that's a hard thing for a mom, or a parent. It's just, you always want the best for your kids, and or what you think is the best for your kids, right? um, but that was just something amazing I've never heard ever in my life. Like when I prayed it, I was just afraid to say it was going to, I know this will work. I felt like, who am I, this small little person? I can't say that. It's like, oh yeah, you can. You need to say it. So I don't know, I was one with that. And it was that unshakable
Mhm.
connection with divine. And
Yeah,
it was just so beautiful.
it is beautiful. And it's such an important story for you to share, because that's what we're being called upon to do. Just sort of like what God's been saying in these messages is that we are one. His strength is your strength. It comes through you. It is, you have the power to believe, and believe that miracles happen. Believe and claim it as your own. So we have a couple of comments here before we get off, because we're running out of time.
Okay.
Bill says, when one gets to the point of accepting the divine as the essence of all life, just expressed as different aspects of the one, then I find I don't need to keep dragging out the stories from thousands of years ago. And that's true. It is you just accepting. And you also made a really good point of, we don't know why things happen. It's just when you have that kind of conviction and strength, and you say everything is working perfectly, everything is in divine order, and I just need to trust whatever is happening, even though it makes absolutely no sense to me at this moment. And when you can do that, then you can get out of the worry, and you can get out of all of the things that cause us suffering, and
Right.
be able to stay present, because you know, okay, this is being handled. Can I let go of this? So it is, those are two very important things that you brought up.
Yeah, I
And
love that, Bill. Tell Bill I love that. That was beautiful.
uh-huh.
Yeah, it really helps me too, hearing that comment from him. It just, because I love that. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Bill. And Kim says, this has been a good conversation. I agree that for a long time I didn't know or understand that divine love was all around me and just waiting for me to accept this and trust this. And once I got this, it made life so much more interesting and fun. Thank you, Kim, for all your comments. And yeah, when you can let go, and you know, we've all heard that, let go and let God. Um, when we can actually do that,
Yes.
knowing that, you know, it's freeing. It's freeing. Is like, okay, I trust, and I trust that God is good, no
Hmm.
matter what is going on, that everything is working in my favor, whether it looks upside down or not,
Or how we get there.
or how we get there. Yes.
I agree. I love that. It's
Mhm.
beautiful. Yeah.
Well, I am so grateful to have you here with me tonight, Monica. It's been such a wonderful conversation, and thank you for being open to have this conversation about Jesus and God, and so that we could share our experiences in love and let people know what's inside of them and that they have the same abilities. So, can you please let people know how to get in touch with you?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I have an old email, so I have to remember what that is. Well, email energia healingarts at gmail.com, and energia transformyourlife.com is my website. People can reach me both of those places. And yeah, and Deb, this has been so wonderful. And I really enjoyed talking about it. It's been on my mind and my heart, and I'm trying to understand what I think more in my mind. Uh,
Mhm.
I know my heart does. It's just naturally in sync. My mind gets tricky in there sometimes, but this has been so great, and it's been so nice to have Bill and Kim on to share and get their input and their perspectives, and yours, Deb. I love it, and I love your book. And as I went back and looked at it even more today, I'm like, oh my gosh, so many things I'm questioning, wondering are in there. And I
Mhm.
need to go back and finish that. So
Well, thank you. I know
thank
I have to keep rereading it too. Actually, Jesus dictated all of the books to me, and he said, I'm dictating that you're writing them for you because you're going to keep forgetting, and you have to go back and reread them."
oh my gosh, like your own journal. Well, it's been helpful to me too, though. I loved it. The first time, we met, we had that in common. It was like, oh, this is in common. This is great.
Mhm. It is. It's
I
beautiful.
I loved it. This was so fun, Deb. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, you're very welcome, and I'm sure we will have you back again in
Yay.
the future. And so I wanted to remind people that at 9 o'clock, Terry Angel and Karen Palmer are going to continue with their 40 days of chanting. If you would like to join them, so that's 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And then we will have restream replay our meditation a day today at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. So I wish you all an absolutely wonderful evening and or day, whatever time it is for you. And so we're going to say goodbye for now, knowing we are one love, protected and held in divine order by our Creator. Go out this day in this awareness and allow God's peace and joy to occupy every thought. Lead with your heart and welcome everyone home, for all are loved. Bye bye, everyone. God bless you.
Bye, guys. Bye, Deb. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.